So as we begin this journey today is a conversation I'm so excited about. We're going to be talking about the art of authentic influence. The art of authentic influence. And I want you to think about what this actually means, because this is going to be one of the most practical trainings you ever have in your life in terms of creating more abundance and wealth and possibility in your life. And I'm going to invite you to really lean into this conversation, because it's only going to be as useful as you choose to make it. So really playful out. But I want you to think about this idea of influence. What does influence mean to you? And actually, as you think about that, I want you to think about the word manipulation. What is manipulation? What is manipulation? When you think about the difference between manipulation and influence, what do you think? How would you define manipulation? Chairman Steplo. I would love to get actually a couple live shares. I'm going to call on you, Josiah. How would you define manipulation versus influence?
I would say manipulation is a function of agenda versus flow. So agenda is where there's something for me to get. So if I'm manipulating somebody, I could be playing on their emotions. I could be, but the idea of it is for what I can get, not necessarily to serve them. Whereas influence is how can I influence someone towards something that's going to benefit them. And we may not typically see that at the time, because especially if there's something like money tied to it or something of that nature, it's like, okay, well, yes, there's something for me in this if I'm saying enrolling a client. But the whole purpose of sales in that particular situation would be to serve them with my highest and best product, service, and so forth.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much. I'm going to get a couple more shares. I think that was so great. Darcy, I would love for you to share. What for you is the difference between manipulation and influence?
I think this is a lot what Josiah said. To me, like with manipulation, there's a hidden agenda. It's what can I get out of it, that I'm putting myself before the needs of others. Where influence is that it's creating something of benefit for somebody else, that that I can use my knowledge, my skills to help persuade for someone's benefit, not for my benefit.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Great definition. Let me get one more share. Steve Hunt, how would you describe the difference between manipulation and influence?
I was totally rocking on Josiah's description and taking deep notes and tweaking my notes on that. Manipulation, I think manipulation is driven by, or it's received with fear, with a feeling of just fear that I'm being taken advantage of, versus I'm sorry, the other word again, it slipped my mind.
Manipulation versus influence.
Influence is supposed to be given and received more with love, with a feeling of care and persuasion, and that is loving and not self-centered.
Okay, powerful. Yeah, and everyone, as you're chiming in, I really want you to tune into this. So this conversation today, really it's a conversation of sales. But sales can be done through either manipulation or influence. And you can use what we're going to be sharing today for either purpose. You can use what we're going to be sharing today as a way to manipulate. You absolutely can. You can use them as a way to influence as well. But the difference between that is your intention in the process. Manipulation is when you're trying to get someone to do something for your reasons and not theirs. And once again, there's lots of different forms of manipulation that happen out there. Influence is when you're trying to support someone and make it a decision for their reasons and what's best for them. And I'm going to invite you to kind of lean into this conversation, because for some of us, this is an uncomfortable conversation, because we're going to be talking about sales. We're going to be talking about money. We're going to be talking about, how to go out there and offer your products. How many of you, just chime in the chat below, how many of you are in sales in the work that you do? Chime in the chat below and say, I'm in sales. How many of you are in sales? All right. Yeah. I'm going to reframe it in this question. How many of you are breathing? Go ahead and chime in below. If you're breathing, congratulations, you're in sales. And maybe it's not selling products, but you're in the idea of selling ideas or selling things, or utilizing your influence to impact other people. And it could be selling your kid on why they should brush their teeth before going to bed. Or it could be selling your spouse on the idea of taking more time so you can, have a date together. Or it could be selling a potential prospect on a high level product that you've created, or selling your employees on why they should, follow through. And like there's influence that's happening all around us every day. And unconsciously, we're all in the game of influence, and some of us just don't realize what we're doing that's effective and what we're doing that's ineffective. And so my goal is today to teach you some principles, and we're going to be harnessing this idea of influence, especially for those of you that actually have products and services to sell that you actually want to be making more money with. How many of you are here because you would love to experience more prosperity and abundance? Go ahead and chime below if you feel like. Awesome. And how many of you are entrepreneurs? I'm just curious. Chime in the chat below if you're an entrepreneur. Okay, beautiful. So many of you are. So we're going to be gearing this conversation around that and really kind of focusing on what is it that keeps people from being able to excel at influence, and what is the block that people experience. And then we're going to be going through what we call the 7 levels of intimacy or influence. And then I'm going to be walking you through an influence formula that we have. So I'm going to invite you to chime in, like, what are some of the things that keep people from being good at influence or being good at sales? What do you feel like are the reasons why some people really, really struggle with this? Fear of rejection. Thank you, Darcy. Not believing in themselves. They feel pushy. Lack of confidence. They feel fear. They're afraid of the word no. They have personal blocks. Their heart is not invested in the product. They're not being sincere. Okay, great. So just like really tune in. Now I'm going to invite you to tune into yourself, because this isn't about those people out there. This conversation is about you. What has been the thing you've struggled with? And it always begins, there's 2 aspects to this. Number 1 is the mindset. Number 2 is the skill set. And it always begins with the mindset. So let's talk about some of the mindset that maybe you've experienced around sales that have kept you from really, really excelling at it, kept you from thriving. And I get that all of you have some skills already in this area, and we all could probably admit that there's ways that we can upgrade. And I'm going to invite you to tune into, like, what have been some of the internal beliefs around sales that have held you back. And I'm going to invite you to think about this, and then I'm going to invite you to chime in. So for me, like, for years and years and years and years, I told myself the story, I sucked at sales. Like, I didn't want to do it. I avoided it. I was so afraid of rejection. I was so afraid of people saying no. I was so afraid of going out there and taking something that I'd been working on and bringing it to someone and having them say, no, I don't want it, because internally I thought that meant they didn't want me. I felt like that would mean that I had less value because of that. And then likewise, because of that fear of rejection, I just wouldn't even engage. I wouldn't even offer who I was to people. And I also had this negative perception of sales. Maybe you've experienced that too. I'm going to invite you to chime in the chat. When you think of a salesperson, when you think of a salesman, what are the initial words that you think of? What are the initial things you think of when you think of a salesman? I think pushy, I think manipulative, I think selfish, I think greedy. I would always have that perception of that stingy old used car salesman that is just trying to nickel and dime you and sell you on a cheap product. And, you know, like there was just all this negative perception that I had around sales, which made me, so I didn't want to do sales because I didn't want to be a salesperson. I didn't want to be dishonest or slimy or pushy or, you know, like this idea that people thought that I was just trying to get their money. Like that was very like repulsive to me because I just wanted to help people. I just wanted to make a difference. I just wanted to change lives. But what I didn't realize, because of all my mental garbage around sales, I wasn't giving them a real invitation. I wasn't giving them a fair chance to experience what I had to share. And then I had money beliefs, just pure rotten money beliefs, you know? And I had all these negative beliefs around money. Chime in the chat below. When you think money is, what are the negative beliefs you have around money? Money is bad. Money is evil. Money is the root of all evil. Money is hard to get. Money is hard to keep. Money is, go ahead and, there's never enough money. Money vanishes. Having money means I'm selfish. Yeah. Money leads to corruption and power. It's hard to balance. I can't have, and one of the most toxic ideas that I ever had was money's not important. Now I want you to think about this relationship that you have with money. And if you have this, if you treat it like a normal relationship, I want you to imagine you had a relationship with with another human being. Maybe you're dating someone and you have the idea that they're not important. How long are they going to stay around? How much are they going to show up if you think they're not important? Huh? They're not, right? And so anytime I would think the words, oh, money's not that important, I was basically saying, money, I don't want you in my life. And so sure enough, the money would respond accordingly. And I wouldn't have money. Like all of those beliefs are just recipes for being broke. And so I just want you to like really tune into this idea that we have these thoughts and stories that keep us from being able to show up, to influence a world, and to be able to share our gifts, our products and services with them in a powerful way. And with those negative blueprints of belief in place, those negative beliefs in place as part of our internal framework of how we see the world, it's impossible to be a powerful influencer and to be able to attract and create abundance. So it's required that we shift the way that we see things. How many of you are ready to shift your perception around influence, sales, and money right now? If you're ready for that, just comment in the chat below and say, shift happens. I love that, Michelle. Shift, baby, shift. I'm ready. Beautiful. And this is important. So regardless of what you're doing, whether you're an entrepreneur and you've created a product or you've got a service that you're sharing with the world, or you're a mortgage broker, or you're a real estate agent, or you're a network marketer and you've got a product or service, or like basically any business is built on the idea of sharing something that people can invest in. And so it begins by reclaiming our perception of what it means to be an entrepreneur, and then what it is we're really offering. So even if you're working for someone else, even if you have a quote unquote job, I want you to understand the difference between employee mindset versus entrepreneur mindset. What is the difference between the two? Because you can have a job, you can have a career, but you can still have entrepreneur mindset versus employee mindset. And it's a very distinct difference in terms of how you show up and how you engage. What's the difference between employee mindset versus entrepreneur mindset? And this is actually worth getting a couple shares with, because I think I'm really curious. Linda, as you're holding that cute little baby, I would love for you to share.
There we go, unmute. The leader versus an entrepreneur inspires people and they inspire themselves. I think they step up as going the extra mile and
Mm.
caring about what they put out is their best effort. And usually an employee mindset is, well, what I put out is the bare minimum of what needs to be done to get the job done.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much. And introduce us to this cute little baby.
Okay, she's about 5 years old, 5 days old.
5 years old. Oh my gosh, she's so tiny for a 5-year-old.
She's
5
5
days.
days old. This is Amara.
Amira. Oh my gosh, so beautiful.
Yeah, Amara Jane. She's my
This is your granddaughter.
newest granddaughter. Yep.
And you're in California with her right now?
I am in California with her right now. Yes.
Oh my gosh, how
So
beautiful.
happy.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I love that. All right, I want to get another share. I want to call on Larry. You're Larry George on here. Are you Larry Larson or Larry George, Larry Love? Like,
I know.
you're confusing me.
I don't know. So yeah, an entrepreneur mindset versus an so there's another way that I've heard it, and it's called being an employee or being an employee-preneur. And you know, even if you are working for somebody else, if you have the mindset of how much of this can I take in and can I grow and develop and build my own skills, that is an employee and an entrepreneur mindset is all about how can I grow and develop and help others grow and develop at the same time. And I've struggled with this for years because I have wanted to be an entrepreneur. I've tried, but find myself better suited in a position of helping other entrepreneurs with their goals and dreams. And I just really had to change my mindset around, it's not about just doing the bare minimum. It's about what kind of skills am I honing? What kind of gifts am I building? What kind of relationships am I building? And how am I helping grow them? Because as they grow, it's also helping me to grow.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. And what I want to emphasize about this mindset shift is it's like it's the shift between victimhood and being a creator, right? Employee mindset is basically, hey, I'm going to wait until I'm told what to do. And this is probably a cliche, but you'll also recognize that in some aspects it's true. It's like the average employee does as little as possible, but without getting fired, and the average employer pays as little as possible so that they don't quit. I don't know. It's the I'm butchering that quote, but you get this idea. It's like do the minimum, right? So that you get by and you wait until you're told what to do and you avoid that responsibility. But the entrepreneur mindset is like, I am responsible for the results of my life. And once again, you can be an entrepreneur by creating your own business, creating your own product, creating your own service, and doing all that. There's just a lot of hats that you need to wear as an entrepreneur. But you can also have that same entrepreneur mindset when you're working in a company that you believe in, and you're showing up to engage, and you're taking accountability for the results that you're creating, and you take ownership of your world. That's the difference. Does it make sense? But here's like the key aspect of being an entrepreneur, and this is where it relates to this idea of influence and the idea of showing up as an influencer for good. An entrepreneur is someone that solves a problem for other people at a profit. Like, write this down. Like, this is critical to just understand. An entrepreneur is simply someone who solves a problem for another person at a profit. And that's what entrepreneurship is, right? So Linda, who teaches yoga teachers how to step into, mastering the skills so they can teach yoga, she's helping those individuals, those men and women that really want to master yoga and they don't know how to do it otherwise. They have this dream, they have this goal, they want to be able to facilitate and create that. She guides them step by step through the process of being certified so they can do that. Steve Hunt, he works with college kids who are, you know, wanting more cash, more money, want to be able to be more successful, and he helps them know how to file past tax returns so they get additional cash back in their pocket from the government that's rightfully theirs, but that they wouldn't get any other way, right? And I could go through and spotlight so many of you. Like, the reality is, your audience, your people, they have challenges or problems that they're dealing with. And as an entrepreneur, your mindset is like, okay, I'm here to solve their problems. Now, here's the interesting thing. Even if you're an employee, it's that same mindset of being an entrepreneur. It's just, who is your client? Your client is your boss. They've got a problem, and you're stepping in to bring your gifts, your talents, and services to solve their problem, and you're getting paid for that. Does it make sense? But it's that mindset that says, I'm here to create solutions. Now, here's the interesting thing. There's a lot of people that are freaking out in this world right now because of the economy. They're freaking out because all of these industries got shut down. They're freaking out because there's all of this uncertainty. And how many of you have noticed the freak out that's happening in the world? Chime in the chat below. How many of you have noticed this? Right? There's a lot of industries that are up in the air and a lot of things that are in chaos. And you might have experienced that within your own industry. Other industries, it's like, hey, you know, everything's as normal. In fact, for some industries, it's better than ever. But this is what I want to emphasize, is the entrepreneur mindset is this creative problem-solving part of us that is willing to evolve and willing to shift. The only reason, like listen very carefully to me, because this is not going to feel good for some people that are freaking out and blaming the economy for why they're struggling right now. The only reason why you are struggling financially right now is simply because you're not solving problems for enough people. That's it, right? The moment you stop being a solution for relevant problems in people's lives, then you don't get paid, right? And I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years. I have had the cycle in my life of ups and downs, times where I've had so much abundance that I didn't know what to do with all the money I was making. And there's been a lot of times where I was dead broke, where I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to fill up the car? I don't have enough money for that. And every time I'm in these moments of poverty, I had to confront myself as like, oh, why am I being so selfish? Like, I want you to think about this. Once again, how many of you are willing for me to say what you need to hear, not what you want to hear? If you're willing for me to like be honest rather than be nice, how many of you are open for that? If you're struggling financially, it's because you are being selfish. Poverty is selfish. I know that doesn't feel good, but that's what I would have to confront myself with. Like, oh my gosh, I am not actually going out there and solving problems for other people. I'm worried so much about my own problems. I'm not being a solution in the world that's relevant and meaningful that people want. And here's the key. Like, I really want to emphasize this. How many of you like really tune in? How many of you really, really are committed to creating more financial abundance in your life? Chime in the chat below. Me. Okay, like, here's the thing. If being an entrepreneur is solving problems for other people at a profit, if you want to make more money, what do you need to do? What do you need to do? Solve more problems. And not sell stuff. Solve more problems. Be a solution for what people are struggling with. And let me just ask a simple question. Do you think that right now there are more or less problems in the world than there were 6 weeks ago? Yeah, there are definitely more. And how many of you think the problems have shifted? Right? They were shifted. But the reality is those problems still exist. The question is, are you evolving with your client? And here's the key. Are you ready? Like this is unbelievably important. If you want to create more money, here's the paradox. Stop focusing on money. Stop focusing on money. If you want to make more money, stop focusing on money. Focus on the people that are struggling with a problem you can solve. Focus on creating relevant solutions for what they're dealing with. Yeah, Larry says, if you want to find a soulmate, you have to stop looking for them. The reality is what your chase runs away from you. If you're chasing money, it will run away from you. But when you become the solution that has relevant things that are going to help someone get what they want in their life, then all of a sudden you become relevant in the marketplace. And then from there, everything's about just marketing and sales. Becoming a center of influence and utilizing your skills as an influencer to support them in making a decision that will help them move forward in their life. And that decision comes in the form of a commitment. And that commitment will come in the form of money to work with you to access your solution. And Monique says, as Zig Ziglar says, you can have anything you want if you help enough other people get what they want. And so this is like important as we're shifting our perception of abundance and being an entrepreneur and even influence. So if you've been struggling financially, if you've been going through a cycle where you're like freaking out, stop worrying about you and start focusing on, okay, how can I leverage my skills, my talents, my gifts, and create something that is going to help someone else right now. If you've been freaking out because of money, it's because you've been selfish and you've been worrying about you. Go out and start creating something that other people want. And every business is built on, at some level, on just creating what other people want. And it's crazy because there are so many different things that people want. You know, people make millions of dollars in millions of different ways. You know, there are people making millions of dollars selling tennis shoes and selling toothbrushes and selling, you know, advertising and selling commercials and selling movies and selling t-shirts and selling little porcelain ceramic, you know, wiener dogs. There's people that are out there like, I want to create a porcelain wiener dog, right? And they make it and they put it out there and someone buys it. It's amazing. But somehow they understand that that's what their particular market works. So we're going to be taking you through this process right now, but I'm inviting you to open up your awareness, because as we're going through this transition in the economy, there is infinite opportunity out there. There is infinite opportunity out there. But the question is, how can you leverage your gifts, your talents, your passions, your purpose, and how can you channel those into the direction of someone else's problem? This is what it looks like to be a purpose-driven producer. How do you channel that purpose into solving someone else's problem and caring about them enough that you're creating something relevant for that audience? All right. So, you guys ready for the next step? If you're ready, say I'm in. Bring it. I would love to get a couple shares and ahas right now. I would love for some of you to just chime in, like what light bulbs are clicking for you right now as we're having this conversation. I'm going to invite anyone that feels like they have, are having breakthroughs. Just take yourself off mute. Let's get a couple shares. Who wants to share? Darcy, you want to share? I can tell.
Okay, sure. Yeah, this I'm a little speechless because I'm actually having so many breakthroughs listening in on this, and um, really about like what you just said about channel my purpose into solving someone else's problems, and um, this whole thing has just shifted from me from like this selling is that I'm just sharing my talents. That's all that's going to do, and all I want to do is help people out, and that takes that whole manipulation thing out of it, this whole like selling thing out of it. I'm not selling, I'm sharing, I'm influencing somebody's decision that's going to help solve a problem for them that they're struggling with. And why wouldn't I want to do that? Why wouldn't I want to really try to influence somebody? So I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. What a great awareness. Steve, what are you learning?
Is that me? This Steve?
Yeah.
We've had other Steves in the past. I am learning that again, you catch me when I'm off taking notes here, and I'm writing down that that in order to, well, I'm still looking forward to what we're about to learn here about how to present the service that I'm giving, and the because I know that I am doing exactly what you said. As an entrepreneur, I'm trying to serve, I'm trying to help people, and how to present that to them in a way that it doesn't come across as manipulative and pushy, and so that yeah, because that's my focus, is to serve and help people.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And this is what I love about every one of you that's here right now, is you're here for the right reason. You're here because you really want to make a difference. How many of you really want to make a difference? You're really approaching your business and what you're doing because you care. Chime in the chat below. If that's why you're here, that's why you want to master these skills. Yeah, absolutely. All right, you care, you want to make a difference. Absolutely. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to invite you to like really tune in, because here's the mindset shift. Okay, we're going to hit this first. The mindset shift of influence versus that. And for me, I had to completely extract this idea of sales out of my mind. Like I had to like stop approaching it like I need to sell this person, or how a lot of people in the industry say, I need to close someone. I don't want to close anyone. I want to open, right? I want to create an opening for this experience, right? Closing doesn't feel good because that sounds like I'm trying to get something from them. Instead, I want to open. So I had to shift the mindset. So instead of sales, here's the 3 words I use. Sales is leadership. Write that down. Sales is leadership. I'm a damn powerful leader, and I'm going to help lead people to the destination that they want. Sales is leadership. I'm willing to lead people through their fears, through their doubts, through their insecurities, through all of their limiting beliefs until they reach the destination that they're determined to go. I'm willing to lead them through their fear of making a commitment. So that's the first. Sales is leadership. Second, sales is service. Sales is service. If I really care about someone, if I see them struggling with a problem or challenge that they're going through in their life, if I really care about them, then the most selfless thing I can do is to serve them. And I can serve them by offering my product or service. Sales is service. I only offer my products and services to someone I really believe I can help. But notice how instantly that shifts the perception. Rather than, oh my gosh, I need to get this money out of this person so I can, create what I want in my life. It's like, wow, I'm going, like, it's like the third aspect is sales is a gift. I'm giving, I'm not taking. I'm offering, I'm not withdrawing. Like, sales is a gift. I'm offering the sacred gift of my product or service to this person. And I also believe sales is is commitment, right? Like I'm just supporting them and making the commitment that's right for them. That's all. That's all influence in sales is. And I also have this perception that sales is this space in which they get to experience a breakthrough, right? Because they're essentially breaking through what's been holding them back and moving to the next step. So like there's this, they're making this decision to leave behind their past life and to experience. And, you know, it's different if you're selling, you know, like a microwave or something. It's different if you're selling a house. For me, like what I do, it like literally changes lives. But at some level, whatever you're doing is solving a problem for your audience. So the first thing is tune in is like, what is the problem you're actually solving? What is the problem that your product is actually delivering to your people? Go ahead and chime in the chat below. And I just want you to notice the moment you shift this idea of sales from being, hey, I need to, you know, close them so I can get more money in the bank, to being like, hey, I'm here to serve them. It changes the energy of the whole conversation. So saving lives of teens in crisis, what a beautiful service. Like what other problems are they experiencing? So you guys are sharing the solutions right now, but what is the problem? What is the thing that they're struggling with right now in their lives and their homes that they need support with? They're struggling with their own fears and limiting beliefs. They're struggling with their weight. They're struggling with their finances. They're struggling with shame or addiction or financial setbacks. They're struggling with knowing how to pay for things. They're struggling with boredom, relationships, all these different things. So like, I really want you to tune into that. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you to this idea that I call the 7 levels of influence. Okay. So go ahead in your notebook, draw this, and you're going to draw 6 circles. Six circles. Okay, I'm going to, as you draw these circles, consider like the center of the circle is where you have the greatest amount of influence. Outside the circle, you have less and less influence. And in the very, very external outside, you have 0 influence. So when you can think about this, your goal is to, being a center of influence, bring people more and more into the levels of intimacy or influence. So outside here, at this level, this is where we have strangers, okay? These are people that have no idea who you are, and they have no idea what solutions you offer them, all right? How much influence do you have over these people? Chime in the chat below. How much influence do you have over total strangers that have no idea who you are or what you do? Yeah, exactly. You have none. You have no influence over these people. These people don't even know you exist. And if they've seen you, they like don't realize who you are. So our goal is to make these strangers and bring them into this outside layer of influence. And this level is what we call acquaintances, okay? Acquaintance. All right, acquaintance. Just a second. Acquaintance. Okay, acquaintances. These are people, maybe they recognize your face. Maybe you've seen them. They might have even heard your name, but they really don't know what you do. They're like, oh, you know, they might say, oh, I've seen your face before, I recognize you, but they don't know who you are. They don't know what you're about. They don't know, you know, what your soul's calling is. So how much influence do you have over acquaintances? Chime in the chat below. Yeah, you only have a minimal amount of influence. So your goal is to build the level of connection with them and influence by bringing them to the next level. So this next level, this is where they actually become friends, okay? What's the difference between acquaintance and a friend is you've actually invested some time with them. They know your name, you know their name, you know a little bit about them, they know a little bit about you. There's a space of having these shared experiences together. So this, at this level of friendship, this is the place in which you actually start to create like this sense of camaraderie, this sense of trust. How do you go? The question is, how do you go from stranger to acquaintance? Let's start here. If you want to make this first bridge to going from a total stranger to an acquaintance, what needs to happen? You introduce yourself, right? There's just that intention that says, hey, my name is Gerald. What's your name? Oh, hey, Darcy, it's nice to meet you, right? Then all of a sudden we become acquaintances. How do you go from being acquaintance to a friend? How do you make that leap from being an acquaintance to a friend? You ask questions, you get interested in them, you find a way to help, you look for common ground. You listen, you ask questions. You have this intention that says, hey, tell me a little bit more about you. Wow, wouldn't it be amazing if we could, get together sometime? Or I'd love to hop on the phone and find out more about what you're doing or what you're up to. Right? There's a space in which you're able to experience that. Now from friend, the next level that I call this next level your tribe or your soul family. Or soul family. These are the people that, oh my gosh, they really get you. These are the people that you've invested time with, you've created this experience, you feel this like really deep connection and love for. Like you really understand them. So how do you go from being friends to being a soul family, to feeling like this deep connection of the tribe? What's the key? How do you get to that level of connection? You show yourself, you start being vulnerable, like listen, you become vulnerable, you be empathic, you like really care, you invest, you show up together, you create experiences, you really have a similar vision or path. You invest that energy, that time into that. That's how you start experiencing life as a soul family. And I want you to tune into this. Is this about the amount of time that you spend with someone? Yes or no? It's not just about time. How many of you have been around people, have been connected to people for years and years and years, and they're still barely acquaintances? How many of you experience them just being, and you've been around people and they're friends, but you still like, it's still casual. They're still not like this really, really deep experience, right? And so it's not about time. And how many of you have experienced like meeting someone and then almost instantly feeling like soul family with them? How many of you have experienced that? Absolutely, right? There's this experience. And many of you, during the course of the 10-day challenge or, the course of these events that we create within Legendary, instantly connect with your soul family, where like I have this happen every event we do, every event, where within an hour or 2 hours of the event starting, people feel closer to the people within that event than they do to almost anyone else in their life. Why? Because we create space where they're being vulnerable, where they're engaging, where they're investing in each other, and they're having these like shared breakthrough experiences together. This is the recipe for creating a soul family. And then there's this next level. This next level of intimacy or influence is what we call, this is what I call your lifelines. These are the inner circle. The lifelines are your inner circle. These are the people that are closest to you. And because it's a small circle, it's limited, in my mind, you can only have maybe 5 to 7 people in your inner circle, but these are the people that will show up for you no matter what. These are the people that love and care about you so much that if you call them at 2 o'clock in the morning, what does your inner circle do? If you call and you need help at 2 o'clock in the morning, what does your inner circle do? Chime in the chat below. What do? They pick up, they answer. They say, what do you need? I'm there for you. I don't care what's required. Your lifeline inner circle, you've built a level of trust also that if they say, oh my gosh, imagine, someone that's in this inner circle, they say, oh my gosh, Laurie, I just saw the coolest movie. You got to come check this out. Do you want to go? Right? And Laurie, she's like, I'm in. She doesn't need details. She doesn't need information. She says, absolutely, whatever. Like you've built this level of trust and influence with them that they're like, all right, whatever, right? Or, like for me in my inner circle, I'm like, hey, I have this crazy idea. Let's launch this 21-day challenge. What do you think? They're like, all right, I'm in. They don't need details. They don't need information, but we've built this level of trust. They're like, great, what do you need from me, right? That's what this inner circle looks like. These are like, you can call them anytime you need, all right? And then at this level right here, this circle right here, this is the circle we call your soulmate. These are those very, very, very few special people in your life. And I believe in over the course of life, we might have different soulmates at different times. But really, it's a very, 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 very small circle of these people that are they're called into your life and they have a connection you can't explain. And it may or may not be a romantic relationship. Like, it's really nice. I love the fact that my soulmate, Allison, happens to be the woman that I get to share my life with. It's amazing. And I've also had other soulmates that, they haven't had that role in my life, but I've known that they're like these soul partners that had a very specific role or purpose. And I've had soulmates that have come and gone in my life too. But this is very, very special. And then this final circle, this very, very inner circle, guess what this is? This circle is you. This circle is you and God. That's it. You and God. And I happen to operate from this belief that you and God are the same thing. That when you really get to know you, when you really build and nurture the relationship with you, you also build your relationship with God. When you really, really, really get to know God, you really get to know you. But this is the inner circle. Now, here's the critical thing about understanding this whole paradigm. If you want to build the relationships here, guess what gets to happen? You first get to invest in this relationship. Because every other relationship in your life is going to be a reflection of how strong this relationship is going to be. You cannot influence your soulmate or your inner circle or your tribe or soul family if you are not centered in yourself. Listen very carefully. If you want to be a powerful force for good in the life, then you need to be self-centered. I love this word because it triggers people, right? There's a difference between being selfish, which is only caring about your own interests, versus being self-centered. Self-centered is like you are anchored in who you are. And from that space, you show up as this powerful force of influence to all of these other circles. And in this journey of bringing people deeper and deeper into the centers of influence, to making these strangers and bringing them into your world as acquaintances and those to friends, then all of a sudden you start showing up in a powerful way where you're offering who you are to the world. So I want to emphasize that how many people you influence is going to be based on how ready you are to offer your gift of who you are to the world. And like, I want you to tune into, like, there are people out there that their sphere of influence is limited to maybe a dozen, 20, 30 people, right? And there's other people that have a sphere of influence where they have these people through, whether it's social media or through their audiences, through Instagram, Facebook, all the other thing, where they literally have millions and millions of people that they have influence over because they've constantly gone through this process of sharing themselves with the world. And so I'm going to share with you this formula for bringing people deeper and deeper into your spheres of influence, okay? So the first, these are the keys of influence to bring them in, okay? The keys of influence is, number one, to have intention. You have the intention that says, oh, there's some strangers out there. I'm going to go, introduce myself. I want them to become friends. I want them to become acquaintances. I want to bring them into my soul family. That's the first key, is to just simply have the intention or desire. There's some people you don't want, right? A lot of people, they keep their sphere of influence small because they've simply never made the intention that says, I want to expand. So with that intention, the next key, the next one is you actually engage. You engage with them, you do something. You put something out there. And once again, if it's one-on-one, you just reach out, you say, hey, what's your name? My name is Gerald. Michael, it's nice to meet you, right? And you engage and you do something based on that intention where you reach out. If it's online, then you engage by sharing content. You engage by putting marketing out there. You engage by sharing that wisdom with the world. The next key after engaging is you invest. You invest in that relationship. You spend time. You give something of value. Like, this is the law of karma. You always give before you reap. You share that with them. You invest and you really just keep pouring more and more value. So for those of you that want to be spheres of influence, your goal is simple. Write this down. My mission is to put the world into karmic debt. To put so much value out there to solve so many problems that it has to come back. That's the key. That's the goal, is to continue to invest. And in investing, you're going to want to get interested in them. Be curious about who they are and be curious what their needs are, not yours. So the mission is to put the world into karmic debt, to give so much value that it has to come back. But you give that value by being curious. What does my audience really need? What are they really struggling with? What's the pain? And when you're one-on-one with people, it's like, wow, what are you struggling? And be interested in them. Be so interested in them that they're inevitably going to be curious about what you're creating, what you're doing. And then the next step, once you're interested in them and you've invested in them, then you invite. It's only at this final state that you use your skills to enroll them, because by this time you've built a level of influence and trust with them that they're open for the invitation. And that invitation is the process of inviting them to go on the next step of the journey with you. And that next step of the journey could be, hey, if I would love to sit down with you and share with you a couple of things that might help you as you're struggling with this. And it's this process of looking for ways to serve. So I can't believe an hour has already passed. I love this conversation, so many breakthroughs. I would love for you to share any breakthroughs or insights that you have right now. And I realized that one of my intentions of this call was to actually go through the entire sales and enrollment process. So for me, like this call about like learning to be a center of influence is the perfect setup so that we can actually go through the entire sales psychology and walk step by step through the process. So I'm committing to set up another time where we can actually go through the whole enrollment process for those of you that want to know how to get someone to go from interested or curious or from having no idea who you are to being able to say, hell yes, I want to work with you. Here's my credit card. So I'm going to create that experience for us soon because I think it would be really, really powerful to be able to do that. How many of you got a lot of value out of today? Go ahead and chime in the chat below. If you got some breakthroughs, got some awarenesses about how to be a center of influence. Here's my challenge for you. My challenge is this, simply this. Go out and create some value in the world. Think about the people that you're working with or that you want to serve, you want to support, and get curious, like, what are they struggling with right now? What are their fears? What are their doubts? And see what you can create. Maybe it's you creating a little mini course, or maybe it's a inspirational post, or maybe there's someone specific you want to reach out to and you want to text them and say, hey, I'm here to serve you. What do you need? Can we hop on the phone? I would love to see how I can help. And approach this whole business of growing your influence as a game of service and contribution and seeing what's possible. So I love that so much. Jolene is asking, how can we rewatch this? Here's the invitation that I'm going to give to you. All of these recordings for these noon mastery calls, these and the other things we're doing, you get when you become a founding member of the Legendary Tribe. It's only $88. And with that, not only do you get access to all of these trainings ongoing that we do every day of the week for the month, like so much value, but you also get 2 tickets to the upcoming Legendary virtual seminar where we're going to be covering this in even greater depth. Plus you get access to an accountability group, which is part of that, and some other incredibly valuable bonuses too. So if you want recordings of that, you get the link for the Lion's Den. And so Jolene and those of you that want to go back and review this, hopefully you find so much value, and plus you'll get all these other things. Just go to legendarytribemember.com. legendarytribemember.com and join. Once again, it's only $88 a month. You can cancel anytime, but we hope that you join this tribe long-term and we can continue to serve you as you serve the world. So go to legendarytribemember.com and just join. It would be such an honor to have you continue to play with us. I love you guys so much. I've got another call I've got to jump on right now. Go serve the world, go create magic, and just remember, this is your life. So make it legendary. See you guys. Everyone take yourself off mute and say goodbye right now.
Bye.
Bye.
Guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Later, everybody. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.